Hello, Internet, and welcome to our first Gamers Roundtable Game Club discussion. I keep almost saying book club. I've said that to everybody this week, but it's not a book. It's a game club discussion. It's your favorite cast from the Gamers Roundtable, and we're just going to be playing video games. You guys can play along with us. So basically the format is we're going to be playing games. We'll pick them. We picked Dead Space 2 as our first game into this adventure, and we played through chapters 1 and 3, 1, 2, 3, and finished in right before Chapter 4, and we're going to be continue on later, and we'll tell you guys what we're doing next. You can play along with us and hopefully have some discussion with us in that Q&A session. But it's not going to be me leading us through it this time. Manny is going to be our man to look to on this one. Manny is going to Manny is the man. He's going to run us through all of our discussion and make sure we stay on topic and don't get too distracted and we stay in order. So with that, I'm going to throw this over to Manny so he can get us started up.
Well, before we jump into this, I think we're all coming into Dead Space 2 with all like different perspectives with the franchise. I just want to go through everyone, get a quick rundown. Like, what have you played in Dead Space before? Just what have you done with Dead Space before?
Okay,
Brody,
Charles, you want? Oh, me? Okay, you're going to throw it. Dead Space. I played Dead Space 1. And I've played the I forget what the on-rail shooter was.
Extraction.
Extraction. I played Extraction on the PlayStation Move before, and Dead Space 1 was a phenomenal experience for me. And even that shooter, I didn't think I would enjoy the on-rail shooter, but it was actually really good. And I'm glad that it came with Dead Space 2. And then I tried to play Dead Space 2, and I think I lent the game out to someone, and I had never gotten it back. So it's actually really funny. I didn't actually pick up the game again today. I went and bought a used copy today, and played through my chapters that I had to finish for this. So that's my experience thus far with Dead Space.
How about you, Charles?
This much. I watched a Let's Play of Dead Space 1, and that's it.
So,
Pardon?
you feel like you're going in cold to Dead Space 2?
Pretty much. This isn't really my style of game. I'm not much of a third-person shooter sort of person. I find the whole interactions to be a lot more clunky, simply because I'm used to first-person.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, I almost quit, and I'll get into that, but I haven't quit yet, so...
It's a good different perspective then to get from someone.
Finally, we got Eric munching on some Cheerios or whatever.
No, I'm all gone. Dead Space, the Dead Space series is totally right up my alley with the types of games that I'm, that I gravitate to normally. Being a big older Resident Evil fan, things of that nature. I like when the third-person shooters are done and they're done well, and Dead Space definitely succeeds at that. My history with the games was that I played Dead Space 1 for probably about an hour at a buddy's house when it first came out. Never owned it. Did not purchase or play Dead Space 2 at all, but I did buy Dead Space 3 the day it came out and played that game rather extensively, beat it. Downloaded some of the additional, packs and, some of the upgraded suits that you could get, and played through the game, I believe, twice fully. So, yeah. So, and I love 3. I thought it was a phenomenal game.
So it'll be interesting to hear you go back, because a lot of people think 3 is the weakest in the franchise. And a lot of people think 2 is the best, so we should hear your perspective going backwards.
I think.
And that's exactly what I was going to kind of, bring up, is that it's very odd for me to go the opposite way.
I think I should mention before we move on too. I forgot to say I hate horror games because I get scared so easily with games. I like to play them. I love adrenaline, but I do get scared very easy, and I have to play them in the daytime.
But you have agency. You got a gun. You can shoot things.
Yeah, it's true, but I jump like a baby. You should see me play.
Well, just food for thought. My girlfriend was was down from school this weekend, and I wanted to get a girl's perspective on the game, which I will tell you about. I let her play for about a half an hour. And she didn't jump, Bertie. So I mean,
I'm
Shots
more of a
fired.
girl than girls are.
Really quickly, I think I played Dead Space 1. I played Dead Space Extraction 2, 3. I even played. There was a. I don't know if any of you remember that there was a puzzle sort of flash game. There was a pre-order bonus for Dead Space 2 that took place. You know the guy that you meet at the very beginning who wakes you up with the flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It's so that this little mini game thing, which is absolutely terrible. It stars him and it explains how he got from where he was to you and why he woke you up. And it's like a branching storyline. It's like 4 different branching storylines, which apparently none of them really matter because they all end with the same thing. I need to wake him up. And you sort of open that sort of. So yeah, I have a lot of the Dead Space.
I heard there was or I saw actually it was on Netflix, I think, or no, sorry, it was on the PSN store. That there's also 2 animes.
I wouldn't call them anime. They're cartoon movies or animated films. They're definitely not anime.
Okay.
There's also several comic books and a novel.
Okay. Yeah, I knew there was novels. I knew that was a thing.
So actually, I think so. The first one I think is a prequel to the original Dead Space, and the second one is a bridge between Dead Space 1 and 2. And I think it stars your other fellow cellmate, the other one who escapes. And that one sort of they break it up into different pieces where they'll have different recollections of different people, and each one will have a different visual style. So maybe one of those 3 was an anime style story, the other one was like CG, and the other one was just like some hyper stylized animated thing. That was back when EA was really big on their transmedia thing. So we need comics and novels and movies and anime and music, audiobooks. But anyway, so let's get into it. Cold open. I love that. Just starts right up, and you're in.
Yeah, I liked how they had the bit that you could go back and refresh yourself on it, and then go into it. So you could, if you forgot what happened in Dead Space 1, you could come in and rewatch it. And then the opening for Dead Space 2. I was watching those other guys too, but they're totally right. That is a phenomenal opening. It is just it sets the tone and the pace just so well right off the bat, and you're instantly into it as soon as the doctor wakes you up. Like there's no
Really,
way
it was just some guy who was working for the unitologists who had to wake up Isaac. Sort of, whatever. They get into that later, but
yeah, whatever his purpose is, yeah. But yeah, I thought it was great how it just throws you right into, like, there's a lot of games will take time to pace you out, to show you things, how things worked, but I found this game did a good job of giving you the tutorial without giving you a tutorial. Everything, like, it taught you the things in a real experience that didn't feel detached. It felt like it was still part of the story. And it was right off the bat. It was like that.
Definitely. I agree. I like games that give you a little bit of a leash in the beginning. That it kind of allows you to explore, not really explore, but just get your bearings, because it's almost like real life to a certain extent. It's like that intense of a situation where this guy pretty much his body explodes right in front of you and turns into a necromorph that's about to like eat your face, and you're running in a straitjacket pretty much,
talk about being in a leash, right?
Right. I mean, it's one of those moments where it's like the game starts, boom, your adrenaline's pumping, and then you can finally get through that first phase where you're just like, you have like a couple minutes where you just kind of like are like, all right, okay, is it done? Is it over? All right, now I need to, gather my bearings and situate myself, and that's kind of when they break into starting to slowly, start to show you things.
Yeah, with the very, like, it's not just like press X to do this. They really did a great job of integrating the tutorial bits directly into the story. Like, hey, your health is low. You should use a med kit.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah,
one
it
in the
was
locker
a
over there. Go get it.
The guy pointed over and said, "Yeah, your suit's red. You should go get it." He didn't say this indicates your health. You should use a med kit, and it costs this much in the store. So like, go grab a med kit out of there. You're red.
Right.
And that told you now that they kind of they don't play you as stupid. Like they let you they make sure they tell you that they know you're not stupid playing this game.
Yeah.
And,
Well, what
and,
about
then,
like?
and then he promptly displays what would happen if your health had run out.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what would have been a dialogue box in like any other game, and just like a little dialogue box that pops up and you need to dismiss. This actually turned into atmosphere building and story building. He just goes, splits his throat.
Yeah. And it was graphic. Yeah, like a lot of games will build you up into graphic, and as Eric said, right off the bat, this guy's face is just exploding into you after he gets stabbed. It's like you see his eyeballs literally pop out and then fall off.
Right.
Yeah, you always see the Necromorph's game transform like in the shadows from behind, so they actually see the
You never
guy's
see
face
it
sort of
close up.
slowly come apart and like the little tendrils come out and in
Yeah.
your face. It's like, we're not wasting any time. Move. And, like, literally, if you don't start moving the second the game gives you control, you're gonna die.
Oh, and that was the question. Did any of you guys die while running through that? Because
Oh,
I
I
haven't.
took a hit.
You got hit, but you didn't die.
No.
Oh, because I have this tendency that when I'm getting chased, to turn around and look at what's chasing me, and I always end up
No,
getting,
that's a bad idea. You're not gonna.
Yeah.
I always
That's
end up getting messed over because of it. But because it was I'd already done that this playthrough, I didn't do it because I know what happens when you do that. But I almost got caught at one point on a corner and got caught up by a necromorph when they're chasing.
I think the scariest part of the game so far was that scene where you were defenseless.
Which is at with the straight
The initial run. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what chapter it's in, and I think it might be 3, but creepy mutant babies, alien babies, are...
Yeah, that's not that scary. Just AoE weapons.
Well, we're gonna get to those.
Small swarming creatures. Hit them with AoE.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and but I think just off the bat they've set the tone, they set the pace for what you're in store for. That this game's gonna fuck around with your psyche, just how disturbing some of the content can be. Like when it starts up, it says warning. There's disturbing content. They're not kidding.
So finally, you're free of the straitjacket. You got your old full health, and you go into the next little mini tutorial where you get the kinesis module, and they teach you like brooms and little lighting spikes in this game are very effective. Do not ignore them.
Yeah, and I found quick on. I actually found it easier because I know they had that pile of sticks that you're supposed to use to shoot them. I actually just started ripping pieces off of the enemies and shooting them back at them.
Oh, that's high level stuff. That's exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah,
But-
that's what they explained to you in what, chapter 2 or 3?
They explain it later on.
Later, much later.
Yeah, and I'm already doing that. And actually, that there was a point I actually in the game that I was playing, and I realized that if you start using your kinesis on an enemy that's like dead in the distant, and it doesn't rip a piece off of them, it means that they're going to jump at you when you get close to them. So you can tell. You know how some enemies will just come to life when you walk by them? You can, instead of wasting ammo and shooting them from a distance, just try to kinesis them. And if their body parts don't fall off, that's an enemy that's going to come back to life. So that's a neat little trick for you guys, so you don't waste your ammo on every dead body.
Oh, but it's just a normal dead body. I usually just stomp on them and dismember them.
Oh yeah.
Just in
Yeah,
case.
I need to get rid of some room in my inventory anyway, so I might as well just waste the ammo shooting them from a distance.
That's the most annoying things I think about the game is the inventory setup. I don't know.
They got him. That's like part of the survival horror is that you have limited resources, right?
That's exactly it. It's
Yeah, I know, but the problem is that they don't really do a good job, and this is from me going backwards now. So when I'm picking up semiconductors and things of that nature, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna need these for my guns. Well, lo and behold, you can't build gun modules like you could in 3.
No, you
And
sell that part.
yeah, I didn't know you sold those. So for me, honestly, I thought that was one of the coolest parts of 3, was that capability where you could build all these different styles of guns. And it seems like 2 is very limited, where you just you find blueprints randomly and you build them, and then that's it. They're there and they're done. You can't you know what I'm talking about, Manny? In 3, like
Oh,
that's just
I'll say that was the only saving grace of that game, and I'll be honest with you, I would rather have less games and a much better world and design and story and voice acting than getting to build those weapons. Because at the end, I think most people just found the weapon they liked and they sort of stuck with it. Do you know what I mean? And just tweaked it every now and then.
yeah.
And actually, I think it was Dead Space 1 that happened to me. Is I found the Ripper. And it was that chainsaw thing. Or is
In
that
Dead
DS2?
Space 3?
I can't remember. No, in
in
the first one.
1.
In 1. You had the Ripper, and as long as you just modded that up, you could just hold a saw in front of you and just swing it around, and it killed everything. So I'm kind of glad they took that out of DS2, at least so far, because I would just go ham with that.
You know what I find about the workbench though is that you get you get that great sequence in the next part where you jury rig a plasma cutter together from the guy on the operating table who's sort of screaming, "Help me! Help me!"
Yeah.
It's like, no, not now, not now. I'm creating.
I'm
Hold on, I gotta
making
make it on the bench. Hang out over there.
Yeah. Oh, and that actually reminded me of that scene right there. Or maybe it was it was the one with the when you first get I think it's the kinesis. They've designed the levels really well that you can't see every entrance to where you are with your peripheral. So enemies can sneak up behind, and there's nothing you can do about it. Even if you're trying to watch that entrance, the other entrance is now out of your sight, and they can come from that end. So they've done a good job of designing those levels that there's always somewhere that someone can come from. You can't back yourself into a corner.
Yeah.
And
one is you find the corner you can back yourself into, and then you just pivot.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
And the thing is, I found I couldn't do that because a lot of times I was doing that, and the enemies would come out of the roof right above me.
No, that's when you hit them with your melee attack and then take your plasma cutter and take
True.
their arms off while they're reeling.
I'm just kind of saying I think they did a good job of trying to make you not sit in a corner. You kind of have to run around because even if you sit in a corner, they're going to get right up to you, right? And I almost felt maybe it's from the first one. I always got scared crapless. There's only been about 2 points in this one that I've been truly like, that scared me. The first one was with the guy cutting his neck when he turned around and grabbed me.
Yeah.
That made me jump. And then I forget what the other one was, but I found a lot of the times after a little bit, it started to get a little predictable where some of the enemies would come from, kind of taking away the scare of it. The atmosphere certainly helped, but I feel like they should start. I could almost always tell when an enemy was coming. You know, the music would change, and maybe it changes later. But
it does. It does, and I was gonna hit on that too. Was that in the very beginning, because I continued playing a little bit further past the end of the 3rd episode. But yeah, like there are certain situations where you'll see something and you'll be like, okay, enemies definitely coming out of that grate on the wall. You'll precariously go around keeping your gun up or whatever, and then something will come out of somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like it definitely does switch up.
Because there was one point right at the end of at the beginning of chapter 3, it was. I pointed my gun at this door where there was a box in front that you can crush and get items out of, and I'm like, I know something's coming out of there. So I picked up with stasis and shot it at the door. But then the door beside it, someone came out. But I was still in the general area, right? You know, I knew something was going to happen in this area. And I hopefully, they kind of play on the fact that maybe, it's going to start to get predictable and then start to change it up.
I will say it matters a little less in this game because people like to use the analogy that Dead Space 1 was Alien and Dead Space 2 is Aliens. It's much more of an action kind of thing where it's more dealing with these odds, like these big odds and these new kinds of enemies that challenge you in new ways, like the pack. Like the pack is never really going to surprise you where they pop out of. It's more the trouble that they're surrounding you and they're trying to get you from all sides than it is.
Pack? What the hell is the pack?
There's the little. I don't know if you guys have encountered them. Maybe I won't say anymore if you guys know what they are.
Are they the? I was looking through the
The little crawlers.
The children.
The
children.
children.
The creepy
children,
baby
yeah.
alien? The creepy baby aliens?
No, they're the
little
bald
baby
children.
aliens.
Yeah, that's what I call them, the little creepy alien children. Yeah, they're like little they're like little baby. They're like aliens, but they're little babies. Yeah, they're
If you
They're
think those are the babies, you haven't seen the babies yet.
I mean, I've seen like there's like the little necro spiders, and then there's
little
like
triangles, right?
the little alien babies that come in like hordes, but they're little. They look like babies, but they're aliens of some form.
Are you talking about the 3 spikes that come out of their backs?
No, they're like little fucking babies, but they walk around like all weird, and they're like
They look like 6-year-olds.
Yes, and yes, and they're terrifying.
Because there are babies in this game later when you get to the daycare center, and that's why when you say babies, I get confused because they're like legit effed up babies in this game.
Okay.
Like legit effed up babies that you're like, ugh.
Gotcha.
So you ain't seen no babies yet. All right, so so really quick, you find the plasma cutter on the I like how everything the best part about this is that all of the stuff they really contextualize everything about this world. You see the stasis.
It's a real life example of what it is.
To move it, you see the plasma cutter actually opening someone open to perform like open heart surgery, and like later you see the stasis module like in the hospital room, like putting people into stasis and they're in a coma or something like that. So you quickly the thing you're trying to. Did you have to actually do the hacking sequence while the guy was running at you?
No. He jumps out immediately after you finish the hacking sequence and get it.
But it looks like Isaac is doing the animations, right?
No, for the stasis module.
No, I'm talking about the plasma cutter.
Well, the plasma cutter, yeah,
he's coming at you while the animation's going on.
Yeah.
But you're not actually hacking?
No, you don't hack. You just like rip it off of the thing. There's no hacking involved.
Yeah, you can't save the guy either.
Yeah, I know. You want to. I felt so bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Like you could. I mean, like if you had one
Isaac,
of those
hurry up, get the
spikes or
freaking
whatever.
gun.
Just close it back up.
There's like a plasma cutter. It's just like, oh god, there's a necromorph here. If only there were a spike in the room to just impale him on the wall while I pull the plasma cutter off.
No, man, they gotta teach you, man.
No,
you gotta
man.
learn.
No, man. Plasma cutter more important than collateral damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Hey, to be fair though, any other game just would have been like, this is how you use this gun.
Yeah,
so
no, and
I've
that's
seen it.
back on the point that they've done such a good job of immersing you in this world. Everything is in this world, and you're never for once pulled out of the world that you're in. Like even with, as you said, having the stasis module be something they use in that universe. It's a part of that. It's not like this is just a gun we put into the game so you can use it. It's a part of the world and the technology that we use. So they've done a good job of never pulling you out of the world that you're in, and that just adds to the the immersiveness of the environments that they have.
All right, so and here's the part I think that technology that Charles hates the most is the the stasis room, right?
Fucking stasis room. I almost quit.
So
It wasn't that bad.
Oh no, it was bad. It was misleading. That entire sequence was very misleading.
Misleading.
So which stasis? Sorry, that's when you get and the guy jumps out of the roof, right?
Yeah, that's when you get the stasis ability and the guy jumps out of the roof.
I only died once.
I died like 3 or 4 times. And it's because the game leads you to believe that he's already in stasis when he jumps out of the roof. So okay, he's in stasis. Let's abuse that and conserve our resources. And every single time I tried to shoot at him, nothing would come off of him. He wouldn't take damage, and then he would just leap at me and kill me in one shot.
Oh, okay. See, yeah, that was their tutorial to say, no, this is how you use
No,
stasis.
no. He's in stasis, but that's okay. You need to put him in stasis again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
But you know that's like a high level enemy. That enemy you won't see again until like late, until like chapter 6 or 7. Those are like the black security necromorphs. They're really a real pain in the ass to kill. Which is why it's like a one shot as soon as they get you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you put him in stasis and you shoot him like once or twice, he's dead.
Yeah.
But he's just not able to take damage until you put him into stasis.
Yeah, I thought the point of that sequence was to teach you how to use it. So I missed. That's why I died the one time. It's because I missed with the stasis, because he comes at you pretty fast. But I thought the whole point of that sequence to teach you how to use the stasis, so I used the stasis right away.
Well, my problem is they advertise this game as a survival horror where you have to conserve all of your resources.
Okay.
It's just like, okay, well, this guy's already in stasis, so I might as well kill him. Oh, stasis is over for some reason and he's dead? Or I'm dead? What the fuck? Did I fuck up somehow?
There's a stasis refill station like right next to you.
Yeah, but you don't see that until immediately after you finish challenging him.
I think the thing is that when he broke through, he jumped into a stasis field, and it shows you it only lasted like 2 seconds, so you better
that's
stasis
what
him
it was.
quick.
Well, maybe that's a good.
I died there
teaching,
once. I think everyone died the first time or something.
I think I think it's a good teaching to you, Charles. Then that for us hoarders, like when I play RPGs and stuff, I hoard everything. I'm like, okay, I'm going to need this super weapon later on in the game. I'm not going to use it. I never end up using it. So I think kind of what that also teaches you there is that sometimes if it's the best option, use it. Even if you're supposed to save stuff, if you need it, use it.
Hey man, I've got like 6 health kits and I'm half health, and that's where I saved. I'm not using a health kit because I realized that when you upgrade your rig to improve the amount of health you have, it's free health. It fills you right back up.
Yeah. So I try to sit around half if I can.
And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna upgrade my rig when I get to the next workbench, because I spend all of my credits on power nodes, and I just have a huge abundance of them. So I might as well just save all of these health packs. And I get to the point where I'm just like, I have 10 health packs, and I'm trying to decide between having weapons and ammo and having health packs. This is a problem.
What I usually do is I just put the extras in the safe and just come and get them if I need them.
That's true.
How much room do you have in the safe?
A lot.
Oh my god, can I just put everything in the safe right now?
Yeah, you can.
Hold on a second, I'm gonna log right in. Before I forget this and have like a million health packs in my inventory for no reason.
Well, so I just want to ask: is everybody just playing on normal difficulty as well?
Oh yeah, I'm on normal.
Okay, I figured. I didn't know if somebody maybe wanted to go like veteran or whatever and step up
On your
the game.
first, come on, that's crazy.
On first playthrough for a video game club? No thanks.
Wait, you guys bought this late. Do you guys get any DLC or unlocks or anything with your your copies?
An obnoxious amount.
Are you using any of them?
Yes, because I like the extra armor and extra inventory space, thank you.
So what are you?
What am I using? I'm using the one that gives you bonus on healing.
Do you know the names of these like special items or anything?
I have no clue.
So that's
I don't know. It's like 15% bonus on that, 15% armor, and 15 inventory slots. And there was I picked up a line gun, and that's it.
So you're not using like the special force gun or anything?
But the problem that I'm running into is because I have access to this DLC stuff that is just automatically included with the game, now every kind of ammo drops.
Oh,
even if I don't have the guns.
Just put them in the locker, man. Just put them in the locker.
See, that's the difference now between us. Because I had the game, and I lent it out to someone, and I didn't know where it was or who has it. I had to go out and buy it today. I'm not going to buy a new copy, so I bought a used version, so I don't get any of the DLC or anything. So I'm just playing a used copy with bare bones, so I don't get any of those bonuses or anything like that.
Yeah, but then you don't have to deal with I pick up Ripper ammo and detonator ammo and pulse rifle ammo and
That's not a bad thing. That's just
javelin
something
ammo, and
great
I
to put
don't
into your
even
locker.
use weapons.
That's great though. Just save that stuff, and as soon as you get the new, you can switch into them really easily and just go crazy.
Yeah, but my problem is I have too many health packs in my inventory.
That's such a first world problem. I got so much money. I don't know what to do with it all.
First world Dead Space 2 problems.
That's awesome.
All right, so the last little tutorial bit, and then let's start the blowout windows, where they teach you that you can, during certain segments, you can blow out the windows into space and have everything hit like a little target above to shut down.
You know what I thought was so clever about that though? Is even that was a tutorial, but it still felt. I didn't realize that it was a tutorial until after, when I hit the second window and I got sucked in right away. The fact that you get stuck on the bench and they give you as much time as you want to shoot out the red thing, they're teaching you that you need to shoot out the red thing. And I didn't even realize that was a tutorial at first. That's how immersive they've brought you into this, and how well they've integrated the tutorials into the game. In the actual
that's my
story.
regret though. When I play games, I wish I would have used the blown out windows a lot more. There's like a lot of these complicated combat scenarios where I just want to just blow up the thing, let everyone get sucked out, and just try to shoot it before I get sucked out into space.
Yeah, and I'm going to start doing that more often, because the first window that you come up to after that tutorial part, I got my arms cut off. I was too late. I missed the thing because I was actually out of ammo and I didn't reload in time. The next time when the enemies came in, the window didn't blow out when I shot the guys, so I had to end up fighting them. Eventually, I shot the window out to get rid of, and it was so much easier just to shoot the window out and let these guys all get sucked out, because that's when they first introduced like the little babies and stuff, and let them get sucked out and then just close the window, and it's so much easier. So I'm going to use that in my
But
arsenal.
then you don't get the drops. Then you don't get the drops.
Yeah, but my inventory is full anyways. I don't need the drops.
Yeah, this isn't like
My problem with that window was I shot the explodey arm.
That's what happened.
Yeah, I shot the explodey guy. It's just like, oh, everyone's dead anyway, and the window's blown out.
Yeah.
I could have used all of that extra inventory.
I think I used the
Yeah.
Those guys are so annoying. Sometimes you'll be in a room and you just hear, "Where's that motherfucker?
Where is he?" And he's just like around the corner, and his AI's like bugged out. He's just walking on the wall,
like over and over.
What the? Where are you? Come on!
I know. When I first heard that, I'm like, "What is that?"
Yeah. The worst part is when you hear the noises like inside things, like they'll be coming from like in lockers or like objects that like, and nothing ever happens. Like something will shake and it'll make a noise. You know? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Like what? You motherfucker.
There's one scene where there's a laundry machine. I actually went up and tried to open it.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. Like the washing
Was there one in it?
No, there isn't. I tried to open it. I shot it and everything.
I don't
like there was like a baby crying in there or something.
I don't think it was one of those things in it. I think it was a guy hiding.
It was shaking.
Yeah, because he was like fucking terrified, or he was trying to escape being trapped.
But it sounded like a baby something in there.
Man, that sound design in this game in general is fantastic. Like the little things, like when you just even if you don't have like surround sound, you could tell where those explodey arm guys are just by listening, like where their howls are coming from. Or when you run past the doors in the apartment buildings, you hear people screaming to get away from the door.
Yeah, my only issue with that though is I found the sounds are great, but I never found them. In a lot of horror games, the sounds are used against you to scare you, to think something's gonna happen. I could always tell that they were far enough away that I knew that was a background noise, and it was never gonna jump out at me.
That's probably for the best later. Like later on, when you're surrounded by stuff, I was like, "Good, let me know."
Yeah, but I could tell though that it wasn't like this scream is gonna have nothing to do with me.
Well, I guess it's a different approach, right? It's either like the Silent Hill, where messing with you psychologically all the time, or is it, Resident Evil, where you're in a space and there are actual creatures out there who may come and get you,
Yeah, for sure.
So, have you had any? Are there any hallucinations yet, or are we?
With Nicole. his
All right, what have
girlfriend.
we seen so far?
Um,
Make
we've,
us whole!
with
All right, so but no
um,
no big ones like when you're walking down the hallway or anything.
we've seen her in the bedroom
Yeah.
when he said she's not real.
With
We've
the
seen
ferrets,
her.
or with the monocle, or the horses like going around in the room.
Yeah. Which actually, I looked into the mirror and there's actually no reflections, and that made me angry. I couldn't see myself in the mirror, but it was like
Why
fake
not next?
reflections.
Why is this not game not next gen?
But yeah, we've seen that. We've seen her. So he said, "You're not real. You're not actually Nicole. She's dead." We've seen the one I think right before the train station.
All right. Oh, before we get
That's
there though, then let me just hit up the first boss in the game. Right, it's the tripod boss with the baby tongue.
Yeah, that guy was wild.
No way, the baby tongue guy's somewhere else. But yeah.
No, this guy had like arms and stuff hanging from him. This guy was wild, and I thought that was quite an intense first boss because he was just jumping everywhere, and I didn't realize that you're supposed to use the stasis on him.
Yeah,
and
this is your first test. Everything we taught you, go use it.
I didn't use stasis. I shot him, and it took me a hell of a long time of just running around in a circle, trying to get him to jump and then shoot him. And I found a technique that works. If he gets close enough, he'll knock you over, and then for a second he's immobile, and you can shoot his arms. But stasis would have helped so much.
Yeah, there were recharges for the entire room.
Like I'm gonna have the gameplay showing over this, and you're gonna see me just running around. Just
And everyone's gonna be screaming, "No! Use the stasis. There's a recharge right next to you."
Exactly. Oh, I didn't know that either. See,
I forget about the stasis till like the very last minute, where I'm like, man, this is awful, and then it's like, oh wait, I can freeze them.
Yeah, it's always the stasis is always even in yeah, no, it's just always other games that use those kind of methods too, or those kind of tricks where it's like you have this arsenal. I always forget until I've been on it for an hour, and I'm like, oh yes, I have this other weapon at my hand.
Oh
Yeah, Dead Space 2 is a game that expects you to use everything at your disposal.
God. Oh
And
my
I've
God.
noticed that, yeah.
The Quake mentality.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the opposite. Well, no, it is actually the same thing. Where what you do is you get this like powerful weapon, and you're just like, I'm gonna save every bit of ammunition for this because I know that there's a bigger, scarier monster around the corner that I'm probably going to need that for. Any of you ever played Quake 2 or 4?
No.
Okay. Well, in Quake 4 particularly, they start giving you ammunition for the strongest weapon in the game, and you come across these very strong strong airborne enemies that this powerful weapon could actually do considerable damage to, but you don't want to use it because you know it's not the final boss.
Well, yeah, I call that the RPG syndrome, because you do that with any RPGs I've played. You save your best stuff. This one is simply I'm just forgetting. But as Manny said, it's right. You actually have to use everything. Like every button is getting used, and I found things got a lot better once you start using your surroundings better. You start using everything in your arsenal, and it got a little easier. But it's so hard to just focus on that much. So that's why I hated that first boss, because it's just this angry dude just jumping around at me.
I find that the simple necromorphs, if you punch them, like even if they're running at you, the first time that you punch them, they'll jump back a little bit and be like shaken for a moment before then they just like fucking go in on you, and no amount of flailing will stop the blades from penetrating your every orifice.
I developed a method called the mosh pit, and I literally just stand in one spot and spin around, stomping my foot and swinging my arm.
Damn it!
It's funny because he grunts like that every time. But I call it the mosh pit, and it's a very effective method.
And I love the way his boots sort of just stick to the middle floor because they're magnetic too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a good method. I advise trying it out sometime if you guys run it.
If you get a good rhythm, you can get him stomping faster.
Yeah, yeah. I actually, you know what? I'm gonna show the footage of me doing it in in the elevator at one point. I was just kind of spinning around, but I know that works well. But my best method for killing the necromorphs was I shoot horizontally twice at their leg, and then as they fall, I switch to vertical shot and take off one of their arms, and that usually kills them. And then instead of wasting another shot or going up to stomp them, you can actually throw your enemies at the necromorphs to make them explode with loot. That's been my go-to method for killing the necromorphs so far. Do you guys have like a specific method you go to now? Because that's my go-to and it works every time. Or you just kind of wing it?
Well, it depends on how many health packs I have in my inventory. Gameplay directly related to amount of health packs in inventory. Do I have a lot? Sure, go in. Fucking fist flailing, whatever. I can just use that. Do I have more ammo in my inventory and less health packs? Okay, I'm just gonna shoot blindly. I don't care.
Just gonna shoot wherever.
Yeah, well, it depends on what resources I have. If I have a lot of ammo but not a lot of health, I'm gonna stay back and hit things from a distance. If I have a lot of health but not a lot of ammo, I'm just going to wade into it because it doesn't matter. I'm going to be able to heal afterwards anyways.
Yep.
Yeah. I think there was a point with the kinesis when I killed an enemy and he was dead, or maybe it was at the point like I hadn't looted him yet, but I used kinesis to pick him up. Because I just like throwing things around. I actually, at one point, picked up a body, threw him in the air, and started duck shooting him. But I pulled him towards me, and I don't know what happened, but as he came at me, and like I pulled him at me, I died. I don't know if like his body just hit me with such force,
What?
or like somehow one of his things pierced me on the way that pulling it to me. Or if it was a glitch and he was still actually alive or something. But yeah, I have the foot and I'll show you. You see, I kinesis him and pull him towards me and I just die. And that was weird because if it was actually like one of his limbs flung into me or something and stabbed me, that would be really freaking cool.
Yeah.
If it'd be that dynamic, yeah. That'd be sick. Because what I was actually doing is trying to pull his limb off to see if he was still dead. My trick.
What I don't like about this game is it's really easy to determine if your target is dead. Aside from the ones that start out dead, and then you walk close to them, they get up, and they stab you.
Well,
if
that's what
you
I said.
drop a necromorph, the necromorph is dropped. You can't tell whether it's still alive or not.
Yeah. Well, that's what
They could take a page out of Rage's book. I don't know which one was produced first, and make it seem as though the person is still like the thing is still alive. The thing is still charging you, as opposed to the thing just like falls over and ragdolls immediately.
Right.
True, I see. Well, sometimes when they do fall over and ragdoll, they still crawl towards you sometimes.
I just found it really easy to tell. Usually I just rip their arms off first. Don't take any legs off. Who cares about legs?
All right, but not to get too sidetracked. Because we didn't even touch chapter 2 yet.
Oh my goodness, chapter 2.
So this is where I love the seamless transitions. Sort of just fall through a vent and you're in the workshop in a bench. Chapter 2.
Yeah, no, it was good.
So I guess now you guys like upgraded your stuff, unloaded, bought some new suits or whatever, right?
Yeah, I put
only one suit available to you. You get the basic engineering suit. And yeah, and you use all your friggin' power nodes up trying to make your guns more powerful, or you could spend 11,000 coins on the illustrious javelin gun, which holds like 3 fucking bullets, and then you're done.
I picked up the line gun.
Oh yeah, you got the line. I always go for the big, more powerful gun, so I picked up the javelin gun, and
You did get it.
I immediately regretted it. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't my style of play. I know that the line gun has a bigger spread, so.
Yeah, the AoE weapons are really good. It's good to have one precision weapon and one AoE weapon. At least I've found.
Yeah, and then I put one node into each of the guns, and then another into my health. I always put one into health if I can.
Do you guys conserve at least one power node after visiting the workshops?
Well, I didn't.
I try to save one power node for the rooms that you come across.
Yeah, exactly.
I found that if you conserve just one power node and you run into a room and you open it up, you get the thing. The immediate next point on the way to your objective, there's a power node.
Yeah, and I actually discovered that accidentally. The first room that you come across, right in the garbage dump place, or right before that, I went up to a room and it had like a thing that I could, there was the blue light. I could press it to open it, and it brought up a warning message that said this will use your node, I think, but I didn't read it, and I was just mashing X, and I went through and used it. I'm like, oh crap! I think that was my only node. But
it's useful. You get some rare blueprints in there, some good Ruby things to get some money to buy better stuff later.
My issue though is that my inventory was full already.
Ah.
I had to decide if I needed all this ammo, which I didn't, because you come across it pretty well. But yeah, no, it's nice that they usually give you the node right after when you go past it.
Yep.
Use it. But I like that you have that option. You can actually say. I wonder, and I don't think I'm ever going to do it, but I wonder if you save all the nodes and just skip all the rooms, how much better, and if it's even necessary to make yourself that much more powerful.
Isn't the second power node room have a power node schematic in it?
Yeah.
So then you can just buy when you get money.
Yeah, exactly. Each power node's worth 10,000, so you end up spending all of your money on power nodes after that second room. If you skip that room, then you're fucked. You have less power nodes than everyone else.
Yeah, it's worth it. I mean, I know you don't like this because you're going backwards, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
But sort of like you gotta early on you pick maybe your top 4 weapons, right? The things you enjoy using the most, and then you sort of dump as much power nodes to get to those really end level things. Like so maybe you have like a line cutter that shoots fire or lights people on fire when it hits some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's the plasma cutter when you get it fully upgraded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 3 did so much with the grenade launchers and the acid rounds that you could add, and make them into cannons, and like just there was crazy shit that you could make into weapons, and you could break them all down. That was what I thought was so awesome, is that you could make something, and if it sucked balls, which like half of the time it did, you could just break everything down and start from scratch and rebuild a completely new thing, as long as you had the blueprint for it.
But I think they built a lot of that to be social, so they could have stuff to trade, and also have like a resource system so that you can buy resources.
Microtransactions.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it.
All right, so at this point, we're going to head up to the Titan Heights, and we're still trying to get to Dana and Nolan, right?
Yeah, Dana.
Who have been giving stuff over the comms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got us through.
She's a shiesty bitch.
Hey, don't spoil nothing, man. But Titan, I love Titan and the Titan Heights, and the fact that like this is the last game was empty Dead Space Station. Here you actually get to see, well, I guess.
Yeah.
The
An empty Dead Space Station that's dying around you, and you can't actually interact with it.
But there's a lot of great stuff, though. I mean, like, well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna like when the guy's pulling his wife away from his dead mom, and you go in there, and like, what did you want to jump in there and say, "I got her. Don't worry, keep running."
Yeah.
I think there was at one point that I shot through a grate and saved someone, and then they immediately stopped moving, even though they didn't die. It's just like, okay, well, that round was wasted.
Yeah, what a
I stopped caring about all of the collateral damage.
Oh yeah, fuck them. Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I was saying, I think for me that was almost an issue. The fact that now it's a populated world, it made it less scary for me. That I felt now I'm not alone, and things. I think that's actually the turning point where I stopped jumping more, is when we started getting to these, the big open spaces where you can see that life was, and you can actually see people. I think it'd be a lot more creepier if you didn't see living people.
I still think you're thinking too much of like old survival horror. This is more Aliens, where like legit, they want to make you feel like, oh man, this place where we're supposed to save. This is what happens when the necromorphs get in here. This is what happens like when there's an alien outbreak, and I'm seeing
So
this.
it's showing you what happened basically to the Ishimura before you got there.
Rather than like the Ishimura is like, this place is dead. Figure out what happens.
Yeah, and maybe it's just not. It's just for me, but it just. Yeah, I understand the atmosphere behind it, but it takes away from the horror aspect of it, at least in the sense of being scared.
I mean, by the time this chapter is done, everybody's dead anyway.
Okay, so
the only time you're going to see any life.
Yeah, and I just hope it didn't give me enough bravery to get through the rest of the game without being scared, because I feel like half the point of playing the game is to be scared.
When I played this game, I really didn't play it scared. I would never say Dead Space was a scary game for me. I know I was never frightened. It was more I was tense because of the situations, and the stuff I was looking at was horrific and gruesome. But I was never actually scared.
Speak for yourself, because the first one I was scared crapless. It actually scared the crap out of me.
I know, Eric. Were you like scared per se, or was it just more like, oh, this is tense and this is crazy?
In which part, though?
Dead Space 2 as a whole so far.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was scared because of of playing 3 and kind of knowing what I was kind of in store for, but I would say tense, yeah, would probably be the better word. I still get panicked, and and I let Megan play for a little bit.
Oh yeah, you want to bring this up, right?
Yeah, I gave her about a half an hour of playtime. Now, Megan is not a gamer by any means. She plays Mario Party with me on GameCube, and that controller is hard enough for her to handle at times. So I was a little bit concerned, about how she was going to do with it. But, after a little while, she figured out the controls. I showed her what, shot. Now, the biggest problem that she had with was the inverted axis aiming and stuff.
You play with inverted?
You play with inverted?
Weird.
Yeah, I play inverted.
What?
Yeah.
I used to play inverted, but then I saw the light.
Yeah.
Actually, it was a really rough transition for me because I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't played first-person shooters in a while. Let me get back into video gaming. I used to play inverted, right? And then I'm just like trying to play. I'm like, this is impossible. Yeah. So I switched it back to normal. I'm like, this is still impossible.
I think another thing that helped with my bravery is the fact that when I got that suit, I just felt so much more manly. As soon as it, clamped up over my face, I'm just like, yeah.
You became Iron Man?
Now, yeah. Exactly like Iron Man. Just going up to But I think it just gave me that extra, like, yeah, now I'm Isaac Clarke now, right? And that, I think that helped too, just a little man boost to be less scared.
I just want to hit like 2 key points in chapter 2. That I think highlight this is we touched on this earlier, is with the washing machine battle.
Yeah.
Where you walk in here thinking, oh, there's gonna be trouble, and there's nothing, right? It's just a shaking machine, and you're about to leave, and then just goes, lights go out, and all you can see at first is just the light, the glow of your visor on the environment.
Yeah, that kind of puts you in a moments like that. Those moments scare me a lot because you have to pull the flashlight out, and I think with the line gun it takes longer to get your flashlight up, because I think that's actually a good mechanic. Maybe I was just hallucinating, but I think when you're holding the more powerful gun, the flashlight takes longer to get out. It's kind of a good balance because now you have a more powerful gun, but it takes longer to see what you're doing.
I love that even just the visor alone, though, just creates a glow, and you can just see a little bit. As it's not just stuff on you. Everything on you actually has an illumination effect on the world around you.
Oh, and that was when I first kind of questioned when you're going into this place, like, why is there just like a fog everywhere? And then as soon as you got that glow coming out of your helmet, I realized why it was there. It still could look freaking cool. So it's nice to be able to see the lighting is really, the atmosphere and the levels are just really well designed in the first place. Like the level design is phenomenal. along
Like,
with.
you know when you see that people mover and you see like the news camera, I mean the news report going flashing on the screen, it's just
And then-
the entire room dark except for that like giant LCD flashing everywhere.
Yeah, and I think the fun part is when you're actually walking through the projection, like you can see it on you,
Yeah.
the light on you. It feels really cool. You can see it bouncing off of you as well, but the
I mean,
lighting.
this is why I was saying like that's
I do really hate the where it goes do 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 TAN or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
stuck on a bad loop.
It's like every 2 seconds it's going off, and I'm like, oh my god, kill me.
I actually thought it was an enemy at first that I couldn't find. I'm not gonna lie.
What?
That segment? Oh, that was the worst segment. Why? Why did that happen? And that was when one of the friggin' the explodey dudes was around the corner, and he was just making noise while this stupid, annoying
that's right, 'cause at first
advertisement was going
You're
on.
going all the way over there, and you're getting ready if it's going to come down to you. But then it just right next to you and kicks out the grate and just pops right out.
Yeah.
That's pretty good though.
I think I don't know if that was the conveyor belt. I think it was the first conveyor belt you came on that turned on, and Necrovore came flying at you. I had a lot of fun with that conveyor belt, throwing things at it, making it bounce off with some weird physics. I spent probably a good 5 to 10 minutes just throwing stuff at the conveyor belt. Not even kidding.
All right,
Yeah, sorry.
all right, and then finally, I guess, so we can get to chapter 3 is the big sort of. I guess I wouldn't call it the boss fight of the chapter, or the big key point highlight is the train.
Yeah. I wanted
Just the dead bodies around the train.
Let me say, the train cinematically was. I remember Megan was actually sitting next to me while I was playing that part. It was cinematically one of the most memorable, I think, parts in a game, really, where as you're battling your way through, and then the train, pretty much breaks loose, and you're sliding through the cabs, as you're like in a runaway train, pretty much at that point.
Yeah, just even before that part, you like have to fly between the two cars like Iron Man.
I
Like
felt so
Yeah.
freaking badass
Yeah.
when I had to fly between there, because I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking flying around. It just felt so cool.
How many of you guys get clipped by a door?
It doesn't kill you. It doesn't take. It's just, ugh.
Did you get hit by a door?
It feels like this physical thing. Like, he felt that one.
No, I didn't get. Do you take any damage for that or no?
I'm not
Just
sure.
a tiny bit.
Oh,
I knew it was
I
coming,
missed them.
so
Yeah, they missed me.
yeah,
I'm
I knew
like,
it was
I'm
coming.
flying
So
around.
I'm gonna preemptively get out of the way.
I'm gonna get out of the way.
But even though you
he's
didn't have
right.
to do too much, it just I think that's a lot of times in those in games where they put you into the that situation where you have to if you're sliding down a waterfall and you have to just slide back and forth. A lot of times it feels too much like they're focusing on you trying to miss things, that you miss the actual atmosphere is what's happening. With
Yeah,
this, all you had to do is miss a couple doors. It was easy, so you were able to absorb that the fact that you're jumping through space through these two trains, and you could focus on that, and that was really cool.
Yeah,
It made
I
it
think
a
a
good
lesser
moment.
game would have just had this cutscene. They said, no, it'd be a lot more fun if you actually were doing this and involved in the whole thing.
Exactly, even though it was something small, and really not super significant to the story, it felt cool to be a part of it, right? But the whole train, what I like about it with the train is, even though it's still set in this atmosphere, the set piece itself, the train, just felt like an entirely new level as well. Like it had its own style of lighting, just the the narrow corridor of it, and then jumping through the two. It just felt like it was its own unique set piece, and it's cool because a lot of times the set piece will just be designed off the piece you came from before, right? It'll a lot of times look the same, but it felt really unique. So I like that too.
I mean, and then you come to the headway point where the train crashes through the walls, and you have that epic moment where you're dangling by a wire with your feet tangled upside down. And all necromorphs start to come out, and you're shooting upside down.
I love that. Like, you give you like a minute to get ready. There's like a bunch of stuff in front of you. Get ready. You got like 1 minute before the guy
You
gets.
know it's coming.
It's just like such a cinematic moment where like the craziness of the train is happening. It's flying off the rails pretty much. It crashes through a wall. A wall. You fly out the front. I mean, shit's flying everywhere. You wind up upside down, dangling, and they give you like that 10 seconds of just like, where you're like, oh my god, like what the hell just happened? Because it was that intense on the screen, and then it's boom, like necromorphs are coming out and trying to eat your face, but you're upside down. Now that's
and you're swinging back and forth, so you have to manage who's coming at you. Who do you take out first while you're exactly have like a clear shot?
My issue is honestly, when I fell out, I thought I was gonna drop. I thought that was like the end of it, and it was
waiting the whole time to drop.
I was, and then all of a sudden the exploder comes out. I'm like, oh crap! This is gonna happen.
So you didn't get ready.
I was not ready. No, I was not ready. I didn't stasis a single thing to me, or kinesis anything. I just sat there and got kind of wrecked. I almost died because they all surrounded me at one point. I just started spamming fire everywhere, and that worked, but it was close, to say the least.
Yeah, but not just that, then at the very end, where it's like, okay, everything's settled down now, just shoot myself down, and then a huge necromorph, comes out the front of the train, pretty much tries to eat your face.
Yeah, it's like, give me a break.
Yeah, you got to shoot yourself loose there. I died probably, I think, 2 or 3 times. I got crushed by the train because I couldn't figure out what the hell I needed to do.
Yeah.
It's one of those moments where it's like, okay, like what's gonna save me? You're just waiting, and it doesn't happen. So
no.
But there is a power node actually in that section that I found that was hidden. I don't know if you guys found it or not.
Oh, what I do when I play this game is I use the locator. So I'm just like, okay, this is where the game wants me to go. I'm gonna go this way and pick up all of the loot.
You're exactly what I wanted to bring up. Like in games like Skyrim and stuff, I always go to every corridor I can to find every piece of loot, and it's the same with this. But the issue in some games is you end up going the right way, and then it goes to the next scene, and you can't go back. So using the locator, you can say, "Oh, I'm supposed to go there. I'm going that way to find all the goodies." Right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad I'm not the only one that did that.
Game wants me to go this direction. I'm gonna go a different one.
Yeah, I always scour just for whatever I can find.
Yeah, that's where this kind of a game where the game is basically on a rail. The game is one big long hallway.
Right.
One of the downsides of it is there's no freedom. The upside of it is it's easier to find loot.
Yeah. There's some things that are well hidden, though. I've found a couple semiconductors that were, that you had to grab with your kinesis that were kind of off the beaten path.
Yeah, there was a couple.
One example is when you're going through the top part of the mall.
So we was moving
That's
into
chapter
3. And one of the first things you see is the concourse area, where just all these shops where people live. I guess you see your first glimpses of the Unitology Church, which you'll be visiting later.
Yep.
What you were saying, Eric?
I think that's the section I'm talking about, where there's like a semiconductor hidden down underneath one of the overhangs of that little mall area.
I missed that.
You have to go.
There's also a secret.
Yeah.
You know that little guy who's rotating in the center? If you shoot and if you decapitate him and shoot off his limbs, you get a little light speed. You get a little achievement for doing that.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, light speed to Milo.
Shit.
I threw something at him, but I didn't break everything off.
Yeah, you're like the Venus de Milo.
Oh man, I gotta go back and do that now.
Oh, and this is the first time you see the pack, right?
Yes.
Those are the little baby things.
Oh yeah, the one just laughs at you and then runs and jumps off the balcony.
I shot him before he could. I got him.
Nice. A nice little introduction.
Oh yeah, I didn't shoot that guy.
If you have the pulse rifle, it's a little bit easier to deal with these guys. Otherwise, just shoot right for the legs, right?
Yeah, they're one-shot kills, but they swarm you, and that's the issue.
Yeah, I tried to go baby smashing, as I like to call it, where I was just throwing haymakers and stomping and just trying to, decimate them, but it doesn't work at all.
I
Well,
like.
they take one punch and then they're dead, like
Yeah.
most small children.
I like the
In the
I like the way that they introduce enemies in this game. Like when they have a new enemy, it's not like here's the new enemy, you're only going to deal with this enemy. It's kind of like they just throw it in the mix of other enemies as if yeah, it was always there. It's not something new. It was just always in this world. You just came across it now. So like when you come across those little crawly things that live in bodies, like it was just a part, like they were attached to a normal necromorph. So like it's they're mixed with the other enemies. Because I know a lot of games when they're introducing a new enemy, you'll go into a room and that's the only enemy you're fighting now, and then later on it gets mixed in. So I like the way they introduce it. It's kind of different. You know, it's like it's always been there. It's always been a part of this world. And you just kind of cross it now.
Usually when they introduce them, there's just like, okay, here's one room, there's the things. And then the next room is now deal with these things and other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then go through an initial place on there. We go into the waste management, right?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite
Back
scenes.
to your area.
So like here we first see. Well, I guess you guys can go through it, but this is the first time we get to 0G.
Yeah, and that is such a cool mechanic. It feels really smooth. And to be honest, that was actually one of the moments where I felt more scared than anything, especially when I was flying up into like the tunnel, sucking everything in. I felt really scared because I'm like, what if this shuts? Like I felt really lonely. Like if I was there and then like say this shut off or something went wrong, I'd get sucked out into space or wherever it led, and get killed. It just that moment actually was scarier for me than a lot of other ones that I think are supposed to be scary, just because of how lonely you felt, and you know you're kind of going into the light, and it was kind of like I felt like it was leading up to something, but yeah, that was a really sweet moment. It was really surreal too. You know, you're just 0G just kind of floating there.
Your suit just goes like it's it always looks like it's a piece of armor you're wearing, but no, these like everything in this universe has like a real actual function. So this is a real spacesuit, and this is what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, they put a lot of thought into everything. Like even like some of like the recordings and stuff. Like I know some of that stuff comes up in other areas too. Like it's just all these connections. Like there's so much detail that they've paid so much attention to. It's just, as you said, yeah, every piece of everything matters. Like when you look at it, like what are these little brown things on his suit? What are those for? But there's a purpose for all that.
Pyken says that she has a niece and nephew and can attest to the fact that they take more than one punch.
Have you guys been listening to the audio log so far?
The audio logs?
No.
The other
That is the one
that's
part of the game that I do not
the audio
invest
logs. Yes.
time into.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm reading. Sorry.
I read all of the text logs and listen to the audio logs.
Yeah, as do I. I listened and read everything.
So we've all been talking about mechanics and set pieces. Are you guys enjoying the story so far up to this point? Well, I guess let's wrap up really quickly. So you get through there, you do your 0G sequence, which is really awesome. You're going through all the rusted components. You land back into the apartments, and you get to see another side of it that you didn't see before, and then suddenly you get attacked by a gunship, right? Titan's gunship. Edmund is the director of the Sprawl, or the governor of the Sprawl, and it kind of forces you to make your way into, I guess after a sequence battle in the middle of a courtyard, it forces you into the Church of Unitology, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we've got this nice, beautiful set piece.
Which is great though, because in the last game, all you would ever hear about Unitology, but it's always like in the background. It was like a religion of people. You hear it in text logs or audio logs, and maybe you met like the one bad Unitologist, but you never got a feel for. Well, I guess we'll save this for the next one, but.
Yeah, I feel because that's leading into chapter 4. But yeah, you're right. You never get a feel for that it's a thing. Like these people go to the church and stuff.
And I'm sure we'll love talking about all the architecture and set pieces in this one.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, they're really nice.
So,
yeah.
I guess a chapter 1 through 3 wrap up. What are you guys thinking of the stories so far? Because we've all been talking about set pieces and game design at this point.
So far, story. I'd say for me, I'll go first. It's good. Like it's keeps you pulled in. Like there's a lot of mysteries, and I like that. We're trying to figure out everything basically. Like, they answered some things. Like he's got dementia. That's why he's seeing things. And they explain, why this stuff's happening. But there's still a lot of unanswered questions that keeps pulling me forward to keep playing it. And I mean, I guess I have to play it for the game club too. But I want to keep playing it. Like I actually didn't want to stop at chapter 4. I wanted to keep going. And but it's good. Like it's really paced when it comes to answering it. The whole thing's a mystery, and they're answering questions at a really good time to keep you interested. And I like Isaac Clarke too. He's a good kind of like mix between silent and talking. He only talks a little bit, it seems, and the other characters around him do a lot of the talking for the story and pulling things further. And I like that setup. Yeah. So far, I'm liking it.
Eric, what you man?
Yeah, I mean, it's keeping me pretty thoroughly engaged. I mean, I do look forward to playing it a little bit every day. It was difficult for me to stop. I think I'm actually I think I'm in the 4th. I'm through the church. I just got through the church because I really couldn't stop. And honestly, I didn't really know where the hell I was in terms of, like, sections of the game, so I just played to where I could and stopped. So, yeah, no, it's a good time. The story is developing nicely. I think Dead Space 3's story was a little bit more bland, almost, although there was a lot of deceit, and there were a couple,
Yeah.
at the end that I didn't see coming.
I'm so with you, Eric, man. It almost doesn't even feel like it was made by the same people.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Which Dead Space 3?
Yeah, Dead Space 2 and 3, tonally, they feel so... Dead Space 3 almost soured me, I guess because, Eric, you went in cold, so you just went into a fun co-op game, a fun co-op shooter, am I right?
Yeah, right.
I totally understand that. But from my perspective, going from Dead Space 2, which was just so dense and crafted such a world together with the story and everything,
Rich, yeah.
that to literally just military corridors after military corridor and snow after snow level.
Yeah, there's a lot of snow.
It doesn't even feel like the same game in a lot of ways. Like the same series.
I did like the navigating between different planets.
Oh, that was awesome! Like the best part was the best part of Dead Space 3 was you're in the little fleet and you're uncovering like the little mysteries as you're going from thing to thing.
Yeah.
And and you can go into 0G anytime you want to and just explore the
right. You're just like flying through space, like it's crazy. It's nuts. There were aspects of that game that I really enjoyed. I mean, I thought that I could look past some of the lesser parts of Dead Space 3 just because it was the first one that I played, so I guess I'm going to be a little partial to it, but there were a lot of things that I enjoyed about that game. But in terms of storyline so far, 2 is definitely outperforming 3 for sure.
That's right. We haven't even met the best character yet. I mean, you'll know who this character is because you played Dead Space 3. But
Right.
We haven't even met... I'll just say we haven't met her yet. That's all I'll say.
Okay, don't say anything.
And I guess, Charles, I'm really curious about you, Charles, because you said this is not your kind of game. So,
The world building is nice. The immersion is great, but I don't have I can't connect with the characters.
is it because you're not familiar with the story in its whole, or is it just you're not doing a good job in this one?
Well, no, it's just like I said, it's not my style of game. So, and I don't have any real connection with Isaac as a character. He has his own character. He has his own sort of personality. He has his own voice. He has his own everything. He has his own interactions. So it's harder to get immersed into a character that is preset and to some degree different from myself.
Very interesting that you say that, because one of the things about Dead Space 1 is that Isaac Clarke was a mute, silent protagonist. who never really interacted with the world. So things happen to him, and you sort of go through
Yeah,
it.
you kind of experienced it.
He has like a lot more agency this time around.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's harder to get immersed into being Isaac Clarke. It's easier to get immersed into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I like their world building, but their characters aren't very well fleshed out yet. It's just 3 chapters in. They try to establish that X person is crazy and this person is that and Tideman is evil and etc. etc. But they just give each of the characters one dimension, and that's pretty much it so far.
It's still pretty early, though, to be fair.
Yeah, it's still pretty early.
So
2 hours into the game.
Would you continue playing if it wasn't for the game club?
Would I play if it wasn't for the game club?
No,
Probably
would you
not.
continue to play?
Would I continue to play? Well, the gameplay mechanics, while generic, are competent. They work.
Mhm.
The world building is great. The atmosphere is pretty good. But this style of game, I would not continue playing because there's, other than the fact that I bought this game, if I bought this game, I might as well finish it. But if
No.
it was handed to me, it's just like,
Yeah,
here,
if it was handed
borrow
to
this
you-
game, and I played through the first couple of hours of it, I wouldn't be compelled to continue. But that's simply because it's not my style of game.
All right. So hopefully you'll see what you think as it continues. If the story gets better, if the audio logs get better, if you like the characters more.
I'm sure in a couple of chapters they'll flesh things out a bit more as far as the characters are concerned, or they may not. I'm not sure.
Well, I don't think you've even gotten to the big twist yet. The big first twist.
Yeah, there's no twist yet.
Yeah.
I don't even think Eric has gotten to the first twist yet. So.
No, probably not. I have a feeling I know what it is, but
Yeah, but I'm not gonna say any more than that.
Yeah,
It's weird
no.
though. I love that we're spoiling everything, but at a measured pace.
Exactly.
All right, awesome. So I think that was probably a good. It seems like chapters 1 to 3 seems like too short to base an episode on, but I guess when we have to get everyone's background, we have to get your first initial impressions of the game and the world and the gameplay. Chapters 1 through 3 turns out to be a long discussion.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
does. I think from here on out we'll be able to kind of move along at a reasonable pace. Now that we've established our ideas and thoughts on the game, and now we have more of a feel for what the game is going to be and what we have in store, right? But cool, yeah. That's our chapters 1 through 3 of the Dead Space 2, our first game club game for the Gamers Roundtable. So. Yes.
So what do you guys think? You guys fun, good stuff?
Yeah, I think this is good. It's nice to be able to, especially with Charles being in here, having a different kind of a view on it and outlook that we can get, kind of a view that we wouldn't normally have seen with it. And it's a good way to get through our backlog of games that we've wanted to play and actually continue playing with it. And hopefully we'll get more of the community viewers watching, playing along with us, and be able to experience it with us too. That'd be cool. But at least we're experiencing the game together, even though we're not playing at the same time. I think it's fun to sit down and discuss it afterwards. You never really get to do it too much. Usually it's right at the end of the game that you discuss it with other people, so you don't spoil things for people. So it's
Right.
nice to be able to talk about it, right?
it's
Mhm.
true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this would be fun even if it wasn't recorded for a podcast. If we just sat around as a couple of friends and talked about a game that we were all playing through together.
And that's what I said. I think it's fun to be able to sit down and just talk about it with people that are playing at the same kind of level that you're at, instead of your friend bought the game a week before and beat it already, and now you have to beat it before you can talk to him about it. We're able to sit down, talk, have fun, and discuss it. Because as I say, you never really get to do it sit down and just have a discussion every few weeks.
I hope some people in the audience are playing along with us, but at the very least. I've remembered all the points we're getting to and going like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was awesome.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the good part about this as well too, is that I forgot about something at one point and someone said it. I'm like, Charles, he'd said something about the locator. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. It's good to get someone to jog your memory so you can continue the wonderful memory of the game even after you've forgotten it.
And learning some tricks and tips. And when will our next episode be?
we have to figure that out because
Next
E3.
week, because did we
Yeah.
skip next week? No, we skipped the last one because E3.
Yeah. The 11th will be the skipped one, so we obviously can't do the next game club in 2 weeks. I don't know if you guys want to do it in a week's time because it does. Honestly, I told you I picked up the game today. I got home at about 3:30, and I played it, and I was done at 5:30. So it took me 2 hours to get through those 3 chapters. I don't know if that stays true to the rest of the game.
The middle is a little bit more bloated, and at the end there's a bunch of chapters, but they're much shorter chapters as you wrap up towards the end of the game. So yeah, I think the middle probably has like the longest chapters, the most content.
So
and
it's
stuff
probably
like
good to give us a little bit of time
So,
to play that.
a week then for 4 through 7. If
I think a week is more than enough time. As I said, it only takes 2 hours to get through 3 chapters.
and
at the
I
beginning.
should be able to help you guys because I'll be here. Hopefully next Wednesday, unless some big thing comes up. Yeah, I should be here. So yeah, let's do it next week. The June 4th, 2014, episode 2. We're gonna. If you're playing along with us, we're playing chapters 4 through 7. That means finish 7.
Actually, I may need to talk about the date. If it's okay with other people to move that to another day that week, because I'm pretty sure I have concert that night.
On the 18th or the 4th?
Yes. DeAntwoord is coming to Toronto.
On the 18th.
On Wednesday the 4th, June the 4th.
Oh, so let's move that around then. So that means no normal podcast either, right?
Yeah, so I'm wondering if, because that was the week we want to do our week before E3 thing, right?
How about the 5th?
The 5th can work. I may have to do it remotely because I do game nights that night.
Oh, you think you could do it from the game night?
I could probably bring I have to buy a laptop and bring it there, and then I can do it from there.
Is this too inside baseball for the audience?
Yeah. So I guess we can wrap this up then. I guess we should tell them when the date is, eh?
Tune into Twitter for
How about
the
this?
actual.
Yeah,
date.
follow Brody on Twitter at your thing and.
At your thing.
Circle us or follow Circle or something on Google Plus, and we'll
add us on Google
announce.
Plus, and you'll find out. And go to any of us on Twitter. I'll post it on Twitter myself. That's at LeafX. Or if you want to follow Manny, it's at MarinoEM underneath his face there. Or if you want to find out from Charles, you can go to at CStovetop.
That means I have to tweet it. Okay. Force me to use Twitter more. I need to actually.
and
get used to
the
it.
guy who actually makes his living off of Twitter.
Yeah, you could follow Eric at EricMiller3.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Miller 3. Yep.
Eric Miller 3. And we'll let you know when the next date is for this. But it'll be sometime next week when we'll do both the podcast and the game club. So thanks for coming out, and hopefully you guys will play along with us. Get caught up if you haven't, and play some Dead Space with us, and suggest some games that maybe other people would like to see, and we'll see if we have that, and we can play through it all together. But yeah, thanks for joining out, and on our first adventure into a game club, and we'll see you next week. As always, keep gaming hard.
Yeah.